The most dangerous person in any environment is the one who is silent, strategic, and disciplined. They don't bark, they build. And by the time the world realizes what they've done, it's already too late to stop them. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest principles of leadership and dominion is discretion. Not silence out of fear, but silence out of wisdom. The reason most people fail before they begin is because they announce what should be protected. You are not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're too loud. You keep telling people your next move, and that's why you never arrive at your destination. Success does not knock on the door of the noisy. It visits the prepared. 7K Principles vision is sacred. Guard it like a seed. Vision is sacred. It is not a casual thought, and it is not a random dream. It is divine instruction from your future to your present. It's the whisper of destiny telling you that you were not born just to exist, but to establish. And like any seed, vision must be protected, planted, and nurtured in the right soil, not posted, not paraded, and certainly not prematurely shared. You don't pull a seed out of the ground every day to see if it's growing. If you do, it dies. And that's what many people are doing with their dreams. They expose it too early, and it withers under the weight of opinions, jealousy, and criticism. You wouldn't walk into a hospital room, hand someone an ultrasound image, and say, "Let's name the child," when the baby is only 2 weeks old. Why? Because it's still forming. It's delicate. And it's not ready to face the outside world. The same goes for your vision. Stop looking for applause for something that hasn't even developed roots. When you reveal the vision too early, you give people the power to abort it. Some will laugh at it, some will talk you out of it, and some will secretly envy you for it, then act like they support you just to study your every move. Think of Joseph in the scriptures. He shared his dream with his brothers, and their reaction wasn't encouragement. It was envy, it was betrayal, it was sabotage. And many people in our world today are making the same mistake. They share too soon, they post too soon, they announce too soon. And by the time the dream was supposed to manifest, they're dealing with the drama of people who never had the capacity to understand their assignment in the first place. Your vision is not an attainment, it is a responsibility, and responsibilities must be guarded. In the same way you don't hand a 1-year-old a diamond ring to play with, you shouldn't give your vision to people who lack maturity. Some of your greatest enemies will not be strangers. They'll be familiar faces who watched you grow, but never believed in your glow. Keep your seed away from them. In your daily life, look around. The most successful people in your environment, the ones who move with purpose and precision, are not the loudest. They're not the ones constantly advertising every idea. They're often quiet, reserved, and calculated. Why? Because they know that exposure without maturity leads to exploitation. If your vision is truly valuable, then treat it like a treasure. You don't keep treasure in the driveway. You lock it up. You protect it. You secure it. You've got to understand that people kill what they don't understand, and they criticize what they secretly crave. This is why you must be spiritually and mentally disciplined. Not every good idea is ready to be revealed. Not every business plan should be discussed at brunch. Not every goal should be shared with friends. Some of those friends are fans in disguise, or worse, critics waiting to attack once you slip. That's why the enemy of destiny is often not defeat, it's disclosure. The more you talk, the more you invite interference. You don't owe anyone an explanation while your seed is growing. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. If you're working in silence, you're not being secretive, you're being strategic. You're not hiding, you're hatching. And when it's time for that dream to break the surface, it will speak for itself. You don't see the roots of a tree, but they're the reason it's standing. Even in everyday routines, this principle applies. You start a fitness journey, don't tell everyone. Start going to the gym, drinking water, eating clean, let the results talk. You're applying for new jobs or launching a business, don't post your next step. Make the calls, do the research, execute in silence. You're planning to relocate, change circles, cut off unhealthy relationships. Move when the door opens. Don't give a press release. Let people wonder why you're glowing. Let them ask questions you never have to answer. The most powerful people are the ones you can't predict. They're 3 steps ahead, but you never saw the first. That's because they value their vision. They treat it like royalty. You cannot build an empire if you're always giving people a tour of the construction site before it's finished. You were not called to convince. You were called to create. And creation is a private process. The caterpillar disappears into a cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. The transformation doesn't happen in front of an audience. It happens in a chamber. The butterfly comes out when it's ready. So must you, if your dream is still in development, keep it in the cocoon. Guard it, feed it, protect it from the noise. You're not being rude. You're being responsible. You're not being cold. You're being called. Every time you feel the urge to share your next move, ask yourself, is it for validation or for victory? Because the two don't mix. Those who chase validation often lose the vision. But those who chase vision quietly, intentionally, and faithfully always find their reward. Keep your dream buried long enough for it to grow. Then when the time is right, not even your enemies will be able to deny the fruit. People study you more than they support you. People study you more than they support you. And that is one of the most dangerous realities most people overlook in this world. Don't be deceived by the smiles, the claps, or the emojis under your posts. Many are not there to uplift you. They are there to watch you. They're not observing because they're inspired. They're observing because they're trying to understand your rhythm. They're trying to calculate your steps, imitate your confidence, and in some cases, intercept your purpose. In the name of being close, they try to gather intelligence. Every word you speak becomes data. Every move you make becomes strategy for someone else's agenda. You have to understand something deep about human nature. Curiosity often disguises itself as concern. Not everyone who asks, "How's the business going?" actually wants the business to grow. Some want access to your updates so they can measure how far ahead you're getting. They want to know how close you are to your breakthrough, not so they can celebrate it, but so they can prepare their response when you rise. That's why discernment is your greatest weapon. The moment you begin elevating, people will either become elevators or elevators dressed like enemies. They'll either lift you or quietly study you in hopes of replicating you without ever giving you credit. And here's the wild thing, they'll act like supporters while copying your every step. They'll laugh at your ideas in public, but imitate them in private. They'll say, "I don't think that'll work," but 6 months later, they're doing the same thing under a different name. Hoping you never notice, you have to protect your creativity, guard your originality. Everyone doesn't need access to your thoughts just because they're in your circle. Remember, some of the most powerful betrayals didn't come from outsiders. They came from people who were once trusted with the plan. Think about your daily life. You start working on a side hustle, maybe a small clothing brand or digital product. The first thing people do is ask questions that seem supportive. So what made you want to do that? How do you design it? Where do you get your supplies? Now, some of those questions are genuine, but you can feel when curiosity becomes surveillance. They're not cheering for you. They're tracking your progress. They're not asking for inspiration. They're looking for imitation. And in many cases, the person who seems so proud of you today will be your unspoken competitor tomorrow. In business and ministry, in leadership, watch people. Not what they say, but how they behave when you win. Some people won't clap. They'll flinch. They'll smile with tight lips. They'll say, "Congrats," but avoid sharing your post. They'll quote your wisdom, but never mention your name. Why? Because deep down, they're not celebrating you, they're calculating you. They're keeping a mental file on your progress. And when people start collecting data on you more than they celebrate the fruit in your life, you must realize you're being studied, not supported. This is why you must learn the art of sacred silence. Talk less, show less, post less. Let your results confuse the people who swore you wouldn't make it. Let your excellence echo in rooms you never even stepped into. There is something powerful about unpredictability. When people don't know your next step, they can't prepare to stop it. And when you cut off the oxygen of updates, you suffocate the surveillance of fake supporters. You see, elevation doesn't just expose the heights, it exposes the hearts. Some people were fine when you were average. They were friendly when you were struggling. But the moment you start to separate, the moment you move with clarity and confidence, suddenly they feel threatened. Why? Because now you're proving that you don't need them. Now you're becoming the evidence that commitment works. And when people realize they can't control you, they start trying to copy you. This is why you must be more focused on being effective than being popular. Some people want visibility so bad that they forfeit their protection. They tell the world their next move and wonder why they're being blocked. You can't complain about sabotage when you keep giving your blueprints away for free. Protect your next step like it's your last breath. Not everyone is trying to walk with you. Some are trying to walk ahead of you using the road you paved. Even in friendships and family circles, the principle still applies. You get a new idea and suddenly someone close says, "Oh yeah, I've been thinking of doing that too." Be careful. Sometimes it's genuine, but sometimes it's a competitive spirit in disguise. Learn to recognize the difference between inspiration and imitation. One builds with you. The other builds like you, but without you. When you realize people are studying you more than they support you, you'll stop volunteering your brilliance to everyone who asks. You'll start moving in silence, building in private, and letting success become your only announcement. Because at the end of the day, it's not the loudest one in the room who wins, it's the most focused. It's the one who refuses to give away power through oversharing. It's the one who outlasts imitation through consistency and outpaces competition through clarity. Master the power of strategic silence, master the power of strategic silence. In a noisy world, silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. Strategic silence is the discipline to withhold your next move, even when your ego is screaming to be seen. It's the inner strength to walk past applause, recognition, and temptation to overshare and still execute like a master builder. Silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of control. It's when you know what you're about to do, but you're so focused on doing it right that you don't waste time announcing it. We live in a generation that confuses visibility with value. People feel pressure to constantly post, share, and explain. But let me tell you something, what's powerful doesn't need to be loud. Have you ever seen an eagle explaining its flight pattern? No. It simply flies. Have you ever seen a lion announcing its next hunt? No, it moves in shadows until it strikes. That's the mindset of champions. They don't waste their roar. They reserve it. They don't tell the jungle what they're about to do. They just do it. Strategic silence is not about hiding, it's about timing. Timing is everything. If you speak too soon, you invite sabotage. If you show too much, you attract unnecessary warfare. You must learn the power of moving in stealth, not because you fear opposition, but because you understand the cost of distraction. Every time you talk, you give people a piece of your strategy, and the wrong ears will weaponize that against you. Some people don't need to hear what you're building. They need to see it when it's finished. Look around your life. Think about the moments when you shared a plan too early and suddenly everything seemed to fall apart. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. You exposed something that wasn't yet fully formed. People began to speak on it, think on it, even pray against it. Now your energy is divided between building your dream and defending it from critics. But if you had remained quiet, the only thing left for them to attack would be your results. And by the time the results show up, it's already too late. Even in day-to-day situations, the power of silence is evident. Let's say you're preparing to leave your job and launch your own business. The immature mindset wants to broadcast that decision, to post about being tired of the 9 to 5, to drop hints in conversations. But the mature spirit understands, talk later, move now. Strategic silence means you keep showing up, you keep smiling, and behind the scenes, you're preparing your exit with precision. By the time they hear you left, you're already on your feet, running your own vision. In relationships, strategic silence is golden. Not everyone deserves access to your healing process, your next chapter, or your comeback plan. You don't owe anyone updates while you're still rebuilding. Just because someone was part of your story doesn't mean they get a seat in your strategy. Some people only want updates so they can measure how far you've come and silently hope you never make it further than them. That's why you move quietly. That's why you protect your progress. In entrepreneurship, strategic silence is a superpower. The greatest innovators don't announce every feature before it's ready. They build in silence. They test in silence. They refine in silence. Then they launch, because they know if you launch a whisper in silence, it will one day echo like thunder. And those who doubted you, dismissed you, or tried to destroy you will have no choice but to watch what they couldn't stop. But you can't get to that level without discipline, without silence, without strategy. Even in spiritual and personal development, silence is strength. You might be praying, fasting, healing, detoxing from old cycles. That's not something you need to post about. It's something you become. Let them wonder what's changed. Let them be confused by your peace, your glow, your sudden shift. You don't have to explain elevation to people who are committed to staying at ground level. The mountain is not moved by the opinions of the valley. Rise in silence, heal in silence, move in silence. Strategic silence is not just about holding your tongue. It's about owning your space. It's about understanding that everything doesn't need commentary, every move doesn't need confirmation, and every blessing doesn't need broadcasting. There is glory in quiet progress. There is strength in subtlety. The louder you are, the more target you become. But the quiet ones, they build legacies before the world even knows what's happening. People respect mystery. They are intrigued by unpredictability. When you say nothing, you make them wonder. When you post nothing, they start to assume. And in that space of silence, you gain the upper hand. You are no longer operating from defense. You are walking in divine strategy. Let the fruit speak. Let the results speak. Let the outcome silence every opinion. Every day you wake up with a dream, ask yourself, am I being strategic with this, or am I seeking attention with it? Attention fades. Strategy compounds. You don't need to be loud to be legendary. You don't need to be seen to be significant. You don't need validation when you're walking in vision. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Let them wonder what you're up to. While they're busy guessing, you'll be busy becoming. That is the power of strategic silence. Movement without noise disorients your enemy's movement. Without noise disorients your enemies, because silence strips them of control. When people can't predict your next move, they panic. When they can't trace your footsteps, they can't track your progress. You must learn the art of movement that speaks for itself, unannounced, undetected, but undeniable. In a world where everyone's addicted to display, to updates, to applause, the most powerful force becomes quiet execution. You move not to be seen, but to get it done. You shift in the shadows, not because you're hiding, but because you're focused. When your steps are untraceable, your results become unexplainable. That's how you confuse those who tried to count you out. Think about a game of chess. The real masters don't speak during the game. They don't announce their strategy. They don't boast about the next move. They observe, they study, and then checkmate. That's how you have to operate in life. You move silently until the move is irreversible. By the time they realize what happened, the board has changed and the game is over. No explanation needed, no announcement required. Let your transformation speak so loudly that the ones who doubted you don't even know how to respond. In your daily life, this principle plays out in the most subtle ways. Let's say you've been struggling financially and you decide to shift, budgeting, investing, sacrificing. You don't broadcast your grind. You don't tell people you're skipping parties or dropping subscriptions. You just move. Quietly, you change your spending. Quietly, you elevate your habits. And 6 months later, when you drive a new car or move into a better place, people are stunned. Why? Because they never saw the process. They weren't ready for the result. That's how you disorient your enemies. You don't fight back with words, you win with growth. Let's go. Sometimes your enemies are not distant, they're close, quiet, smiling, applauding, pretending. That's why noise is dangerous. The more you reveal, the more ammunition you give to those who secretly resent your resilience. You think you're sharing your plans with friends, but some are listening just to plot your downfall. And when you move in silence, you rob them of the chance to interfere. You rob them of the opportunity to sabotage. They can't strike what they can't see coming. In the workplace, this principle is gold. You're in an environment where competition is masked as collaboration. You've got coworkers who seem supportive, but watch your every step to report or replicate. So what do? You move without noise. While others brag about their deadlines, you quietly exceed yours. While they post about late nights, you let your promotions speak for themselves. Let them gossip in the hallway. You're building in the shadows. Let them talk about who they think is next. You'll be next before they even finish the sentence. Even in entrepreneurship, this is strategy. You don't have to reveal the business idea while it's still in seed form. Too many people announce the seed before it breaks soil and then wonder why nothing grows. Let them think you're still in planning mode when you're already executing. Let them think you're confused when you've never been clearer. The longer you delay disclosure, the more you protect the power of your idea. And when it launches, the impact will speak louder than your explanation ever could. Movement without noise is about discipline. It's about recognizing that some of your greatest victories won't need hashtags or captions. It's knowing that real growth doesn't need to go viral to be valid. It's about choosing focus over flex. Anybody can talk about where they're going. Few have the self-control to just go without the announcement. And when you start to win in silence, people won't even know how to hate. They'll be confused, frustrated, disoriented, trying to piece together how you got from where they last saw you to where you now stand. There's a reason storms don't announce themselves. They form quietly in the atmosphere, and when they hit, they change everything. That's the kind of energy you need to move with. Don't just show up, shake the ground when you do. Make your presence known by the transformation, not the talk. Show up with results, not rehearsals. Let the people who overlooked you be the ones squinting to understand how you arrived while they were still talking about the journey. In your relationships, this applies too. When someone breaks you, disappoints you, disrespects you, don't retaliate with words. Retaliate with peace. Retaliate with growth. Don't argue, upgrade. Don't shout, shift. Let your elevation confuse them. Let your joy be untraceable. Let them try to decode your progress and fail. Why? Because your movement was never for them. It was for purpose. The most powerful rivers don't make noise. When they shift direction, they just carve new paths. The deepest transformations don't come with explanations. They come with execution. That's what you need. Quiet power, silent focus, ruthless consistency. While they're distracted by surface-level updates, you're building depth. While they chase attention, you're cultivating legacy. You don't have to tell them you've changed. You just have to become someone they don't even recognize anymore. Someone they can't reach, can't decode, can't sabotage because you didn't warn them. You moved. Your future is too expensive to be public property. Your future is too expensive to be public property. You can't afford to let just anyone handle, judge, or peek into what you are still building. You wouldn't leave a diamond ring lying around for strangers to touch, would you? Then why are you handing out pieces of your future like it's candy at a street parade? Dreams cost time. Vision costs sacrifice. Destiny demands privacy. You must protect your future like it's gold under pressure because that's exactly what it is. We live in a culture obsessed with exposure. Everyone wants to go viral. Everyone wants to share what they're working on, what they plan to do, and how they're going to do it. But listen, just because it's popular doesn't make it wise. You have to understand that not every vision is designed to be shared. Some visions are meant to be grown in silence, away from judgmental eyes, away from cynical hearts, away from careless words. When your vision is young, it's vulnerable, just like a newborn. You don't expose a newborn to cold weather. You wrap it up. You protect it. You keep it warm. You don't parade your baby around in front of people who might cough on it, spit on it, or even curse it. You wait until that baby is strong enough to survive the world. Your dream is the same. Let me speak directly to your spirit. The reason you feel tired isn't because the dream is wrong. It's because you've been fighting too many outside opinions. You've been carrying your vision while dragging the weight of people's judgments. You told them what you were going to do, and now they're watching and doubting and whispering. And every time you try to move forward, their voices play in your mind like an old record. What if they're right? What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? But here's the truth. They don't know the cost. They weren't there for the late nights. They didn't feel the hunger, the heartbreak, the battles you faced just to stay sane. So why would you give them access to something they never invested in? Your future is not entertainment. It's not content for social media. It's not a storyline for people who are bored with their own lives. If they didn't plant seeds, they don't deserve to inspect your harvest. If they weren't with you in the pit, they shouldn't get a front row seat in the palace. You've got to get serious about protecting your future. Stop explaining yourself to people who have no capacity to understand you. Stop posting every goal. Stop venting every disappointment. Stop opening your heart to people who only want to gossip about your process. They don't see the blueprint, they don't feel the burden, and they sure won't help carry the cost. In real life, think about a tech company working on a groundbreaking product. Do they live stream their prototypes? Do they tweet out every decision? No, they move in stealth. They require NDAs. They build in labs behind closed doors until what they're building is too big to fail. Why? Because exposure too early invites competition, distraction, and even theft. That's not fear, that's wisdom. And your life deserves the same kind of strategy. Not everyone is malicious, but not everyone is mature enough to steward the vision you're carrying. Some people love you, but their fear will leak into your faith. They'll project their limitations onto your limitless calling. And suddenly, you'll start shrinking a God-sized dream to fit into human-sized opinions. Your future is paid for with your decisions, your discipline, your mindset, your habits. And all of those are expensive. They don't come easy. So why make them public property? Why give people who aren't paying the price access to your process? You have to know the value of what you're building. Think about it. When someone owns prime real estate, do they let people walk in and out, rearrange the furniture, criticize the design, and give free advice? No, that property is guarded, gated, and respected. Your destiny is prime real estate in the realm of potential. Guarded, gated, secure. Let the work speak for itself when it's ready. But until then, build in sacred silence. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to go dark, not to disappear, but to develop, to grow without an audience, to grind without applause, to rise without validation. That's the level where legends are made. When the applause fades and it's just you, your purpose, and the process, that's when you find out who you really are. That's when your future becomes fireproof because it's forged in the unseen places, in the quiet hours, in the hidden seasons where no one claps, no one posts, and no one notices, but you're still becoming. Some of you need to hear this. Privacy is not secrecy. You're not hiding because you're scared. You're hiding because you're sacred. There is a difference. You're not running from people. You're running toward purpose. And some things are too divine to be diluted by public opinion. The deepest roots grow in the darkest soil. Don't despise your hidden season. Don't rush to be seen. Protect your process because what you're carrying is too expensive to be casual, too powerful to be passed around, too rare to be common. Your future is a masterpiece in progress, and masterpieces aren't painted in the middle of traffic. They're created in the quiet corners where only the artist and the vision can speak. Move in seasons, not in emotions. Emotions are temporary passengers. They were never meant to drive. You can't afford to build your destiny on unstable ground. If your next move is birthed out of frustration, desperation, or revenge, it may feel good in the moment, but it could wreck the purpose that was meant to be eternal. That's why you must learn to move in seasons, not emotions. Emotions change with the hour. Seasons change with wisdom. Emotions can be triggered by a comment, a text message, or a bad day. Seasons, however, are divine timing set to unlock your next level with power and precision. You must become a master at discerning your season, not reacting to your mood. Imagine a farmer standing in the middle of winter saying, "I feel like planting today." It doesn't matter how he feels. It's not the season. The soil won't receive the seed. The environment will kill the progress. It's wasted effort because the timing is wrong. Yet many of us are out here making major life decisions in the wrong emotional climate. We quit jobs in anger. We enter relationships in loneliness. We walk away from purpose in moments of doubt. And later, when the emotion settles, we're left to clean up the ruins of a decision that wasn't built to last. That's the cost of letting feelings dictate movement. Seasons carry divine assignments. When you learn to recognize the season you're in, you won't be moved by how you feel. You'll be moved by what's required. There are times in life where everything in you wants to speak out, clap back, quit, or even hide. But when you understand your season, you realize that silence is strategy. That perseverance is the assignment. That patience is your weapon. See, emotions scream for immediate gratification, But seasons whisper long-term reward. You have to develop the discipline to say, this may feel right now, but is it right for my destiny? Think about it. How many times have you made a permanent decision in a temporary emotion? You burned bridges you later needed. You left rooms where favor was still present. You spoke words you couldn't take back. That's the danger of emotional movement. It gives you a loud impact, but leaves you with quiet regret. You can't lead your life like a roller coaster, going up and down based on every emotional high or crash. That's how you sabotage what you're supposed to build. If you want to rise, you've got to stabilize. In your everyday life, you'll face moments where your emotions will try to hijack your purpose. Let's say you're working a job where you feel overlooked. The promotion didn't come, the recognition wasn't given, and everything in you wants to storm out, update your RA summary, and post a vague status about knowing your worth. But what if you're still in a planting season? What if that same place that feels like a prison is actually the soil where your next skill, your next connection, your next breakthrough is being cultivated? When you move by season, you stay rooted long enough to receive what the moment is trying to give you. Let's take relationships. One heartbreak can send someone spiraling into a season they were never assigned to. You're hurt, understandably, but if you're not careful, the emotion of betrayal will cause you to enter a season of bitterness, walls, and mistrust. You stop building, you stop hoping, you stop believing. And now you're living in a false season, created not by God, but by your pain. When you move by seasons, you acknowledge the pain, but you also recognize the purpose. You say to yourself, yes, that hurt me, but it won't halt me. I will feel this, heal this, and still move according to divine timing. People who move in seasons learn how to wait not as punishment, but as preparation. They understand that just because nothing is visible doesn't mean nothing is happening. Seeds are silent. Roots grow in dark places. Trees don't announce when they're getting taller. It just becomes obvious over time. You've got to become like that. Disciplined, grounded, unshaken by drama. Focus beyond feelings. Learn to pause, to pray, to evaluate, to step back and ask, what is this moment demanding from me? Am I reacting or am I aligning? Or your emotions will always scream for immediate relief. But your season may be calling for endurance. Emotions want escape. Seasons want elevation. So you have to decide, will you be led by the storms in your heart or the calendar of your destiny? Some of the best moves you'll ever make won't feel good when you make them. They won't come with applause, but they'll be right because they were not born in emotion. They were born in timing. When you move in season, doors open because you're not early or late. You're ready. You're aligned. You're operating in rhythm with what was already ordained for your life. This level of wisdom requires maturity. It means learning to sit with discomfort, to wrestle with emotion, and still say, I will not move until my season speaks. And when it does speak, move with confidence, because you weren't guided by feelings, you were guided by purpose. And purpose will always carry you further than emotion ever could. Let your results be the loudest thing about you. Let your results be the loudest thing about you. Because in a world full of noise, full of opinions, full of people screaming for validation, silence backed by results is the most powerful language you can speak. You don't need to prove anything when your life is the proof. You don't have to argue when your fruit speaks for itself. People may doubt your plans, misunderstand your silence, question your absence, or even mock your patience. But when the results show up, all their noise fades into irrelevance. You've got to reach a place in your life where you don't chase applause, you chase effectiveness. You don't fight to be seen, you fight to be impactful. There's a kind of quiet confidence that can't be taught. It's built in the fire of self-control. It's built when you choose to stay silent while they gossip. It's built when you take the stairs when they're flashing their elevator pass. It's built when you're sown in tears, fasting in secret, working behind the curtain while others are center stage shouting about goals they never finish. Let them talk. Let them underestimate. Let them keep watching your old chapter while you're out here writing a new one in a language they've never learned, the language of consistency. Have you ever seen a lion roar before it hunts? No, it moves in silence. It crouches low, it locks in, it observes, it calculates, and then impact. One move, one moment, one precise action. That's power. Some of us are too busy roaring to prove something that can only be proven by doing. Too busy explaining what we're building instead of building. Talking about what we're going to become instead of becoming it. And while words might excite the crowd, results build the legacy. Think about the gym. There are those who talk about the workout and those who show up daily. It's the quiet ones dripping in sweat, pushing through pain, who walk out stronger. Not because they shouted, but because they showed up. Life works the same way. The loudest voice in the room is not always the wisest. Sometimes the one saying the least is the one preparing the most. Because they know greatness doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up and shifts the room. In your daily life, you'll encounter people who try to provoke you into revealing your next move. So, what are you working on? What's your plan now? You're being so quiet. Are you even doing anything? And everything in you wants to list your whole blueprint. But don't hold your ground. Let your silence be strategic. Let your energy go into execution, not explanation, because when the results come, there will be no need for rebuttals. When the building is complete, the architects don't argue with critics. They let the structure speak. You see, the most effective people are often misunderstood in the early stages. Why? Because the beginning is quiet. There's no spotlight on preparation. There's no applause during the training. There's no cheer for the early mornings, the skip parties, the focus days. But those are the moments that separate the dreamers from the doors. While others are busy showing off the foundation, you're pouring concrete. While they're measuring the curtains, you're still installing steel beams. They're decorating, you're digging deep. And when the storm comes, only one structure stands. Every champion you admire today had a season where they said nothing and did everything. The author who stayed up writing chapter after chapter while nobody was reading. The athlete who trained in obscurity while everyone partied. The entrepreneur who invested in the vision even when people called it foolish. They all understood one truth. Results don't need permission to be respected. You either see the fruit or you don't, but you cannot ignore it once it's grown. Let your life speak through impact. Walk into rooms and let your presence say what words never could. Let your discipline drip from the way you carry yourself. Let your growth be so loud that the people who once questioned you start quoting you. This world doesn't need more noise. It needs more results, more proof, more lives that reflect what they preach. You don't have to sell your vision, you have to live it. And when you do, the world will respond, not because you demanded attention, but because you commanded respect. Don't waste energy trying to convince people who already made up their minds about you. Don't get distracted proving your value to those who lack the capacity to receive it. Let your life preach the message. Let your outcome crush the opinion. Let your success silence the suspicion. In due time, your fruits will do the talking, and the noise around you will either quiet down in respect or disappear in shame. Either way, the only voice you need is the one that comes from your results. Speak through what you build. Speak through what you become. Speak through what can't be denied. The time has come for you to understand that not everyone deserves front row access to your process. They clap for your potential, but they're not ready for your power. They admired your beginnings, but can't handle your becoming. That's why the next chapter of your life won't be a group project. It will be a solo performance fueled by silence, strategy, and execution. You don't need to post every move, share every plan, or announce every goal. Because when the seed is still in the soil, it needs protection, not promotion. Some things grow better in the dark. Some breakthroughs happen behind closed doors. And when it's time, when the moment is ripe, your results will make an entrance so loud, your doubters will have no choice but to applaud. Even if it kills their pride. Remember this, don't tell people your plans, show them your results. That's not just a quote, it's a strategy. While they talk, you build. While they laugh, you prepare. While they sleep, you sacrifice. Because the loudest move is the one that nobody sees coming. And the most powerful transformation is the one that speaks for itself. The eagle does not flap like a pigeon. It rises in silence. And when it's time to soar, it does so without warning, dominating the skies without ever needing permission. That's the kind of spirit you must carry. Quiet, calculated, unstoppable. You've got to live like a sniper, not a storm. A storm makes noise but lacks direction. A sniper studies, waits, and hits with precision. It's not about noise, it's about impact. Too many people want to be seen before they are ready. But if you expose the dream too early, the dream can die. If you reveal the process too soon, you invite pressure that can choke the promise. So preserve your power in silence. Protect your calling in quiet. And when you show up, make sure you show up undeniable. Let them call you secretive. Let them say you changed. Let them misunderstand your quiet season. Just make sure when you reappear, you do so with fruit they can't ignore, with success they can't explain, with favor they can't fabricate. You are not in this world to convince anyone of your worth. You are here to manifest it. And real manifestation doesn't require a microphone. It requires mastery. This is the era of the low-key legend. The one who doesn't need to be seen to be effective. The one who doesn't need to be praised to be powerful. The one who doesn't perform for likes, but leads for legacy. And if you're hearing this right now, let me tell you, you are that legend. You're not behind. You're just underground. And underground is where diamonds form. Underground is where foundations are laid. Underground is where roots take hold. So if no one's clapping for you right now, if nobody's watching, if your name isn't trending, good, you're in the best place possible. Because when the curtain finally lifts, what you've been building will be too solid to shake, too strong to break, too real to deny. You were never called to blend in. You were never chosen to play small. You were born with a fire that was meant to disrupt the norm. So stop explaining, stop announcing, stop begging for validation. Keep your head down. Keep your circle tight, keep your spirit pure, and keep building. Because soon, the same people who questioned your silence will be overwhelmed by your sound. And when that day comes, stand tall, not in arrogance, but in divine confidence, because you'll know you didn't need to scream. You didn't need to fight for attention. You didn't need to show every step. You just needed to move in purpose, speak with action, and let your greatness make the noise.